Hey, everybody, welcome to Two Comic Book Dudes. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to tune in to us. I'm Aaron, editor-in-chief of Comic Booked.
Hey everybody, Justin, managing editor over at Comic Book.
And tonight we have a special guest, Eric Moro, who is the VP of fan programming over at Wikia.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to chatting.
Cool. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. So tonight we're here to talk about a brand new site that just launched, and it's huge. It's a spin-off from Wikia. It's called Fandom. And Eric, I'll let you go ahead and talk about it.
Sure. So, and thank you for that broad opening. The two double really wide. I love that. I love that opportunity. No, Wikia is an amazing home of superfan communities. It's a place that, in fact, over 360 million superfan communities. It's a place where fans all over the web can come together and kind of collaboratively chronicle everything there is to need to know about the topics that they're passionate about, right? So I'll give you some examples. Some of our biggest communities out that are part of the Wikia platform, Wookiepedia, which is kind of the world's or the internet's largest Star Wars fan site. The Marvel database, which is a Marvel wiki that's actually larger than Marvel.com's own wiki. The DC database, communities like that, and we get so big because we have over 190 million monthly unique visitors that come to basically work on this content, right? So of course you're going to be huge.
Yeah.
But we realized that this was an amazing kind of knowledge set, but we didn't really have a place where fans could kind of have the other kinds of conversation, those kind of speculative conversations, right? So a great example that I love to give is, when kind of the trailers and the posters for The Force Awakens started breaking, and sure, we got these great looks at Han and Chewie and Rey and Finn, but everybody was like, hey, where's Luke Skywalker? Why isn't he in these things? And what's going on with him, right? So if you type Luke Skywalker on Google, I guarantee that Wikipedia would have been one of the top 3 or top 5 results, but all you would have got was an article page about the history of Luke Skywalker, how he appears in the canon, how he appears in the extended universe, which is now Legends, right? But there's not a platform on Wikia where people could have that conversation, and people were dying to have that conversation. Hence, kind of Fandom is born, right? It was born out of that. It was a place we wanted to create, a place where super fans can come and have kind of a one-stop shop where they can get all of the great news and features from all around the web curated into one place. They can get amazing articles created by our own on in-house editorial team, as well as our fan contributor program. And then third, a place where they can just kind of have these cool, fun conversations. And so we liken the two kind of. Wikia is the knowledge of the internet, and Fandom is the knowledge of pop culture, I should say, and Fandom is the pulse of pop culture.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you're really opening up. Before, like what you said, Wikia gives you the lists. Here's what's going on. This is the information, but it doesn't really give the fans that opportunity to necessarily, talk about that. So that's great. Almost like you're opening up a forum attached to each of these fandoms, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like a forum on steroids, really, because it's so much more than that. But it all kind of revolves around that kind of central mission statement, if you will. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to kind of put together, and we've been working on it for a while, and I'm sure you guys probably know how this is, but you get these ideas and you work on them behind the scenes for a long time, and then finally you get to kind of announce it and release it to the public, and it's just like this big sigh of release, and then it's like, okay, no, we got to keep going and push that to the next.
On the next.
Yep. Yeah, it never ends.
Yeah. So it's exciting. We announced it on uh, January 25th. Jimmy Wales, who is actually the founder of Wikipedia, was also the founder of Wikia. He sits on the board of directors for Wikia, and so he had the opportunity to speak at the IAB conference back in January in Palm Springs, which is a big kind of internet advertising media conference that happens there, and he announced the launch of Fandom on that day. It got us a ton of eyeballs and you know, a lot of interest, and you know, piqued a lot of interest, and it was just a great moment for us, and we've just really been running ever since that announcement.
That's cool. That's great. So when you talk about the fan content, you know, I know you were talking about and we talked a little bit before the show started about the structure, the organizational structure of Wikia and of Fandom, and how that how those are related. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So you know, we really have kind of two different levels of editorial, if you will. So I have a team, you know, a traditional kind of editorial team. My background, I should probably back up a little bit. I mean, I've been at Wikia now for 4 years, but prior to that, I come from a kind of a traditional media world. I started in the print world, and you know, was executive editor over at Cinescape magazine when that magazine
Oh
was
yeah.
around. I was the editor in chief of Now Playing magazine, helped launch that. And then when I made the move into the kind of the online world, which really is, I mean, you know, I hate to say it because I love it, but print is really dead or dying, right? I mean, everybody turns to the web for their news and features. So I made that jump, and before I came to Wikia, I was actually the uh, editor in chief over at IGN for their movies,
Oh,
TV, and DVD and Blu-ray channels. So
Wow.
I help oversee all of the editorial content there. So I really come from a kind of a traditional editorial background, and a lot of my team over at Wikia does as well. So when we, you know, even though we were working with these great, you know, super fan knowledge-based communities and doing really fun, cool fan programs with them, when the idea came about to kind of launch Fandom, we were in a great place because we all kind of had that background already. So we were able to take the ball and run with it. And so my team, like I said, kind of creates on a regular basis. We create editorial features and videos. But the great thing that we have going for us is the power of Wikia. We really can offer something that other sites out there can't, and it's really that expert level, if you will, commentary, and it's just because, you know, Jimmy Will said it at the IAB conference. It's this idea of the democratization of information now, right? It's like if I want a movie review, I don't have to read it in the LA Times. I don't have to trust that guy. I don't have to trust the guy from the New York, you know, the New York Times. I can trust, you know, a guy on Wikipedia, or I could trust, you know, a guy on the Marvel database because they're just as more knowledgeable, frankly,
yeah.
and more interested in this material, right? And now add into the mix hundreds and thousands of those guys. So it's this really trusted kind of expert voice. So we really utilize that as kind of the backbone for our editorial, right? And whatever we create, we try and make it kind of, you know, interesting for the mainstream fan and consumer. However, we do provide a lot of opportunity to try and take you by the hand and lead you deeper down that rabbit hole if you want to go there, right? So if you want to if you want to talk about, you know, spoiler alert, but the last episode of Game of Thrones last season, right, and Jon Snow, we'll talk about that tangentially in a very mainstream fashion on Fandom. However, if you really want to know, you know, what happened, is it going to stick? Is that really legit? Is it? And you want to have that deeper conversation, start talking about the books that have come out, that sort of thing. We can take you there if you want to go. It's just up to you, right? So that's kind of that first level of editorial that we have, and then the second level, which is what I'm really excited about, is the fan contributor program. And that kind of is an extension of what Wikia is. Again, the idea of fans coming from all over to collaboratively create these massive encyclopedias, if you will, right? So what if we take that idea and apply it to traditional reporting, entertainment reporting, and give these really knowledgeable superfans, the ones that want to do this, the opportunity to write and try and establish and build a career in more kind of traditional editorial and journalism. A lot of times it's just about not having that access, right? So that's what our fan contributor program is. We're giving these fans opportunities. They have to apply. There's an application process, and once they apply and they get accepted into the project or into the program, I should say, they work with editors on my team in a kind of a mentor-mentee relationship, and they work their way through various levels within the program. So it might start off with just kind of a conceptual feature talking about their specific fandom, but then as they get better at their craft, it might move into phone interviews, might move into set visits, it might move into junkets. Then, third tier, it might move into, hey, come with us to San Diego Comic-Con and help us cover the show, or come with us to E3 and help us cover the show. So there's a lot of opportunity here for anyone, and it doesn't have to be a Wikia user. Anybody, on the web is eligible, has the same right to apply and participate in the project as a
That's
Wikia
awesome.
user.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Now I've seen this with other sites, because I know the I think it's the now I can't remember. Sorry, the Informer, or there's another website that does something similar, where they just kind of put out there for people to apply and write. I wasn't going to mention our site because we do the same thing, but and they have that same application process, and they do a lot of things driven based on views, but it's a very detached type program, where basically you sign up, you're kind of given, okay, this is your area, you cover this, we don't ever want to hear from you. You write and then stick your stuff up on our site. So this sounds like a much more personal involvement in a large project. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the individual gets as much out of it. I mean, this is life, right? You get as much out of it as you put into it, right? So, we've already in the short time that we've launched, and I should say, full disclosure, we did kind of soft launch the site in beta back in December. It just wasn't really open to the public at that time, and so we opened the fan contributor program up to kind of a select group of Wikia kind of power users, just to kind of test out, kick the tires and blow off the dust and that sort of thing. So we have some folks that have been part of the project for a couple of months now, and in that time, the ones who have really kind of, dove headfirst into it are now at the point where, like this week, it's an exciting week because we're actually starting to use them, find ways to use them in video features, which is kind of difficult when you think, like, look, I'm in LA, I don't know where you guys are, but I think you're East Coast, right?
Yep, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's hard to do when we're not in the same place, right? But we've been able to create a vehicle for them to write scripts for features, video features, and then give them the opportunity to actually and the tools to record VO, so that we can put their own voice. So they're not just writing it; you can hear them, talking about it. We'll cut the piece together for them, and now they're starting to include video features in their pitches to us. It's not just about kind of written features now. So that's just a great kind of example of how we can kind of escalate this program, and that's that kind of one-to-one touch you're talking about. You can't really do that in a program that just opens the gates and then steps back, right?
That's true. Yep. Well, that's cool. Well, this is definitely a great expansion of the world of Wikia. I mean, all the different sites that are out there for that. So it's pretty cool. And I know, we in a lot of our articles we've used Wikia or Wookiepedia or some of the, to link articles. So I'm sure we'll do the same thing with Fandom. It's cool.
That's and that'll be an ultimate compliment. So thank you. I hope you do.
All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about as far as Fandom goes, and maybe what we would be looking forward to over the next year with this site?
Yeah, so we really, as our CEO says, we race to the starting line, right? So we race to kind of get the idea out there and into fruition, and it's only going to grow from here. And the cool thing is that, we've got a product and engineering team that's really invested in this, and it's not like they're rolling out changes and updates to the site every quarter or whatever. It's an ongoing thing. It's like we had an ultimate vision for what this site is going to look like, and we're going to get there very, very quickly. So one of the things that I'm really most excited about, and just kind of want to put on everybody's radar as kind of a stay tuned, because it'll be happening soon, is this idea of personalization. Right now, as fandom exists right now, you can come to fandom.com, and you can come to our homepage and get kind of this great potpourri of everything there is about everything big in pop culture entertainment, right? Then you can kind of drill down into our three vertical channels if you want to go that way and just say, no, I'm only interested in movies or TV or games. But the way fandom was originally envisioned is that this is going to be a site personalized to your own taste, your own fandom. So within the next few months, for sure within the year, you'll be able to come to Fandom and be able to say, you know what, this homepage is great. I love all this content, but I'm really, really only interested in Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. Boom. Make those selections, and then now moving forward, every time you come to the site, you're going to get a custom feed of content delivered to you via a Star Wars channel, via a Marvel channel, and via a DC channel. And of course, opportunity to go back to the kind of the whole experience is always there. The opportunity to change your feeds is always there, but that kind of real customization and personalization is what really excites me about fandom, because I don't think anything kind of is like that out there just yet. So
Yeah, that's true. All right,
That
cool.
sounds great. Yeah.
So you talked about liking comics, and so we want to talk a little bit about comics since we're a comic book show. So what was the first comic that you read? If you can remember.
I've got it here. So I was born to be on this show, man. I'm a huge, I just finished archiving my entire collection in the comic-based software last year at Comic-Con. I bought the latest version, and I bought the scanner so I could do the barcode scanning and everything. I'm like, yes, exactly. I've got that one. So I've archived my collection, and little by little, each show I go to, because I'm lucky in that my job gets to take me to several conventions over the course of a year. So I take a small stack. It's like, because it's expensive to do, but I take a small stack to every show, and I get them graded by the CGC. And it's not even so much about because I want how much are they worth. It's not. I like that protective clamshell that they put them in. That's
Yeah.
why I do it. So. But all this is prefaced with saying I just found my very first comic, and I don't remember the exact issue, but it was a copy of Brave and the Bold.
Oh,
wow.
okay.
70s. It was Batman, and I could see the cover, so I don't know the exact issue number, but it's Batman, Plastic Man, and Metamorpho
Hmm.
were on the cover in the episode, or in the issue, I should say. So that was my very first kind of entree into comics, and it turned into a career for me. Frankly, I mean that's how I got to where I am today, because I that started my collecting career. Um, I have what 9 long boxes in the garage right now of comics. I never stopped. I don't buy them anymore physically, but I buy them on my iPad through Comixology.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
lifetime of life.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing we've had discussions in the past about physical comics versus the digital. And I know you were saying earlier, print is dead. And I think for a lot of the news source kind of stuff, it definitely is. But I like to have that comic in my hand, so I
Yeah.
will always buy print comics. I have a hard time with the digital stuff. Now I love some of the digital interaction, some of the tools that they've created that interact with the comics. That's really neat. But yeah, to give them up completely, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had the space in the room to store them, I would still be buying them like that. I don't think my wife and 2 kids will let me store that stuff here anymore.
It becomes
Yeah.
craziness. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's threatened to get a storage unit and put them away. So, which would be fine. It would probably free up one whole room in our house, which is would be useful.
Yeah,
So,
I have my garage it's a mix of my comics collection and then my original Star Wars toys. I have my from the
oh
original
wow,
trilogy, A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. I kept all those toys. Now they're all played with. They're not in the packaging,
Right,
but
right.
yeah,
the ships and the figures and I've little by little I've been doling them out. My oldest son is 5, and so now he's starting to benefit from those. Of course, I get the new stuff for him too, of course, but
Right.
there's
yeah,
oldest
Look at
man.
this one. It's cooler.
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, I mean, so that was the start of my comics love, and I'm definitely a superhero fan. I love kind of capes and cowls, and I gravitate, or I oscillate, I should say, between Marvel and DC. My collecting started with DC, as you can tell with Brave and the Bold. When I became a teenager, I kind of moved into Marvel, and they appeal. I think it appeals more to teenagers, like the Peter
Uh,
Parker and Spider-Man, and you kind of naturally gravitate to that. Um, but then as I got older, it's funny, this is the old man in me, but it's like I got older and then it was like, wow, these Marvel comics are so dark. I moved back to DC because they were kind of light and fun and airy, and now they're getting dark. So it's
Yeah,
you gotta find.
yeah.
it's funny.
It's a,
Well, I
it's a
know
crazy cycle. Sorry.
Yeah.
it is. No. Every week, we have our a regular haul show where we get our comics from the shop, come in and we do a show where we talk about each of the new books. And what we find more and more is, we're getting a couple DC, a couple Marvel, and then so many of the books we get are independent books, whether it's for Image or all of these different, Dynamite, Oni Press, all these different companies. They just have such good stories coming out and such great characters from such great writers and artists that it's hard to stay, just a Marvel person. There's just so many things out there to read that are getting better and better than the big two, which is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and that's again like that democratization of information. I think it applies, across all the boards with every career, like filmmaking. Anybody can kind of pick up a camera now, and anybody can get Final Cut right on their computer and cut something together. And kind of the same thing as comics. I mean, anybody can kind of write and produce their own comic.
Right.
Distribution is really good,
Right.
But web comics are, massive. So
Yep.
exactly. I'm a firm believer a good story is going to get noticed and it's going to get out there, right? So,
right.
Yeah. Well, even what we're doing right here. I mean, this is the kind of show that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we couldn't have done because we would have had to either fly you out here and set up a studio. I'm in Maryland, Justin's in Georgia, and you're in California. So, definitely having the availability of the internet for one thing, and all the technology that we have has made everything more accessible, which is great. I mean, it's great for comics. It's great for movies, games, TV, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You get to talk to people that before you would never knew existed.
Yeah.
You get to hear stories that otherwise would have just been lost.
so it's funny because I, for the longest time, worked when I was at Cinescape. Or no, excuse me, I was at Eon Magazine, which is an online destination. And I worked with a guy in New York. He was one of our editors, and he was great. And he's since followed me to a couple of different publications that I went to. But one time we had just hired him at whatever publication I was at. I think it was Now Playing. I just talked my bosses into hiring him. He was remote. We flew out to New York for some meeting and we were going to meet him for the first time. I'd never seen him in person. I had only spoken over the phone. This was before even video conferencing. And I had to fake because I sold the whole thing to my boss at the time. And I had to fake, like, oh, yeah, we go way back and we're buddies and we used to hang out all the time. But I knew he was good,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, like you said, now look, we can do this all over the US. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of the interviews we've had recently with comic creators or artists or writers, they're like, yeah, I'm working with this artist from Italy or from Spain or from South America, and it's like I've never met the person in person. So it is amazing the avenues that have opened up, just in the last few years for that kind of stuff, and it's definitely created a boom in the comics marketplace that we haven't seen for a long time. And I've heard people and read articles from people talking about how they're afraid that, we're hitting that kind of bubble that we hit in the 90s. But I just see that we're in such a different era now, that things really are different. It's hard to speculate of what the future is going to be, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. So, okay. Well, Eric, we appreciate your time. Any final words?
Come to fandomtalk.com, check us out, and more importantly, if you're at all interested, apply to the Fan Contributor Program. We'd love to have you. We'd love to chat with you, even if it's just kind of a question and is this right for me kind of thing. Apply. We'll reach out. We'll chat with you, but would love to have you. I think the more participants and the more folks we can get involved, the greater an offering that we can kind of provide to the world. So.
Awesome.
Sounds good. All right. So Eric Moro, VP of Fan Programming over at Wikia, and we really appreciate him taking the time with us tonight. You guys out there watching us, please like, share, subscribe. Leave some comments if you've got some questions about this program. Let us know. We'll put a link in the description as well as in the article on our site so that you guys can get there and check it out. Justin, do you have anything?
No, just it sounds great. I mean, definitely go check out the site. I took a look at it earlier, and I was blown away. Just the aesthetics of it, and just looking at it, it flows very well. Everything, it's not a confusing site at all. It's beautiful. So you've done a great job with it.
Thank you.
I think the funniest thing is that we're working on a redesign for our site, and I've been working on it since like October. And when I saw your site, I was like, that's what I'm doing. So it's interesting that the same kind of a layout is exactly what I've been working on since end of last year. So very funny. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how Fandom develops and maybe working with you guys in the future. So cool.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Rick.
And thanks everybody for watching.
Have a good one.